In our world of adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, can we really expect not to feel anxious, depressed, and desperate for something deeper? Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. That's James 4:4. Pride, wrath, envy, sloth, greed, lust, and gluttony are the seven deadly sins. The seven heavenly virtues directly contradict and transcend these, that is, humility, patience, gratitude, diligence, charity, purity, and temperance. If you're stuck in survival mode and aren't able to remain content for an extended amount of time, if you lack inner peace, it's time to pursue the spirit over the flesh. Thriving in this world means that you are looking to something greater than yourself. I really wish someone had told me this and I didn't have to figure it out on my own. If you haven't outgrown people pleasing or anxious attachment or shame driven decisions as a woman, this video is for you. And if you're subscribed to this channel, this is what you agree with. They that are Christ's have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. That's Galatians 5:24-25. May he who has ears to hear, let him hear. May he who has eyes to see, let him see. Truly, we're missing moral standing in the world and having women that we can look up to, role models, real ones. If that is not something that you want, this is not the place for you. Welcome to the heart of the matter, where today is the first, last, only, and best day of our entire lives. My name is Julia. I am a feminine virtue and vitality coach. I use the Bible and our biology, the truth and the wisdom that comes with these, to help you have the best of life by seeing that there is nothing outside of you that will make you happier than you are as a whole person. In this video, we will do three things. We'll look at the foundations for why the virtues are necessary in this world of vice. We'll have an overview for each virtue and its corresponding vice. Also, we'll look at how virtues transcend vices. They don't just directly oppose them, and the questions that you can apply to your life in order to develop the spirit over the flesh even more. I have all my notes right here, so I'm going to be reading for a lot of this because I want to get it right. I got it a little bit more specific for you. The seven heavenly virtues and the seven deadly sins are cultural theological constructs, mostly from early medieval Catholic moral theology, refined for moral instruction and character formation. Thomas Aquinas wrote extensively about virtues. Prudentius's poem Psychomania depicted virtues battling vices, but really it was in 590 where Pope Gregory I consolidated the many sins into the seven deadly sins we know today. None of us actually strive to be virtuous. You might have heard the parable, I asked for confidence and God gave me an opportunity to step up and stop being shy. What we strive for is the outcome, the confidence, right? The fruits, the resources that come from developing that virtue. Our goal in this video on this channel, if you're even here, please click off if this is not your goal, is to nurture a pure heart by guarding it and loving every decision that we make. Because we're doing the right thing, the courageous thing, the honorable thing. Only we know that we have virtues. Claiming that we have a virtue can feel like a contradiction. It's a bit like saying I'm humble. That makes me less humble. It undermines the perception of humility because the whole point is that it's a quiet thing. When someone else does notice it in you, it's nice because it's this simultaneous, it takes one to see one, but also you have to make sure that someone's not noticing it so they can step all over you. Virtues are considered quiet strengths because they actually radiate from within. It's not something that you state or do, it's something that you just are. Virtues are soft skills, they are subtle values, the compass from which you make every single decision in your life. They are intrinsic orientations. You often don't know if someone is virtuous unless you see them in every season and every occasion and every position that they can be in their life. The duality of true good versus apparent good comes from our intention. There's an interesting dynamic where the seven heavenly virtues are silent and internal in nature. They don't have to be defended. They are internal postures of the heart. My church uses this word. I like it a lot. It's an intention behind the action. It's the posture that the heart is holding. This is a quick graphic I made of our essence. Every single thing that we do has to come from our beliefs. That's the easiest way to put it. Integrity means that we are lining up our thoughts with our feelings, with our actions, and with the result every single time. That is what we want to do in order to help others and to trust ourselves consistently and to make good decisions, because then we actually love our lives. Our lives are the sum of our decisions. But the 7 deadly sins, on the other hand, are dramatic and external in their chaos. This is how the virtues and sins mirror the essence of God and the devil. Our intuition, Nemo, that's my doggy. Our intuition also is quiet and our anxiety is loud. This merges straight into how you become what you worship. You're always worshiping something, believe it or not. So, God is what gives energy. I created this graphic for you to see. He wants us to use our energy for good. And if you want to see these graphics, they're all on the newsletter, and I recommend that you sign up to see all of this written out. So, He wants us to use our energy for good. Virtues give energy, and sins drain it. That's the easiest way to see it. The voice of the devil, like it says in James 4:3, ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume upon your lusts. The devil is that lust that's saying, you do it for you. You don't do it for anybody else. You don't even do it for me. You're doing this for you. That's how he hides. God wants you to honor him. The devil wants you to serve yourself. It isn't out in the open. You don't see it. It is felt. It's your reason for doing something, your intention. As it says in Matthew 6:24, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold on to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon being greed and the things of the world. So you can see in this graph that it says, in order to serve the Lord, who gives energy and vitality, he is still, quiet, calm, he is comforting and reassuring, he is steady, he is clear, he is ever present. The Lord is convicting and encouraging, and he is the truth, he is nature, he is reason. On the other hand, the devil is chaos, drains energy, he is enervating, he is loud and quick, he rushes, he obsesses, he worries, he gives you anxiety, he condemns, he discourages, he confuses. The devil exhausts, he frightens, he discourages, and ultimately the devil is lies. So with every decision, you are either choosing virtue for the spirit or sin for the flesh. That's just the way it is. James 4:17 says, therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. It is very important to know that sin is in fact knowing better but not doing better. God forgives us if we don't know. He said on the cross, forgive them for they know not what they do. But we now have the Holy Spirit in us who tells us that's not the right thing. So the difference between vice and sin is that you can lead a life of vice by constantly sinning, whereas the little sins we commit every day are ultimately human. And we do need self-compassion instead of allowing us to self-devalue and say, oh, why did you do that? And sort of self-whip. It's really not helpful. Yes, repent, but then come back to the joy and the fact that you have been given another chance and another day to do as the Lord allowed and wants for us, which is to live well and happy. So if you know better, do better, because knowing better and not doing better will eat away at you and will drain your energy. This is how the devil gets in. He knows that if we have regrets or if we resist life, if we love someone conditionally because we think they have to match the idea that we have of them in our heads, that's when we resist them. And Satan loves this. Whereas when you have the motivation to be the person who creates energy, who brings their best forward, who gives space to what you're feeling, everything in life turns to what is accepted instead of what is resisted or suppressed. Really, you want to make the decision that allows you deep rest and lightness over the heaviness and burden that withholding the truth from yourself comes with. It always begins with honesty, honesty to oneself, stopping the judgment and the self-criticism, which I can help you with. I have virtue calls. The one-to-one application is in the link in the type form below. So how virtues directly contradict and transcend vices. We will now see how virtues reject sin. Sin can be done in an ignorant way, but virtue has to be so nurtured. You have to be so self-aware of what you're doing and have true intent behind and effort with the sowing of the virtue in order to reap the fruits, whereas sins are just done out of ignorance. So the first way that I am thriving instead of surviving in this world is I am nurturing humility by actively rejecting pride. So pride is an inflated sense of self. It often denies dependence on God or others, whereas humility is an accurate self-view. It's grounded in truth and in openness to grace. What humility does so well is it dethrones ego and control to create space for connection, because control is the near enemy of connection. You can look at this video to hear more about that. Humility is from the Latin humilitas, translates as humble, grounded, and derives from humus, meaning from the earth. I love etymology, so we're going to get into it. Having nature as reason and truth is so inherent to us humans that human comes from the same root word. Humility is all about dying to yourself, self sacrificing the ego identity or pride, basically. The capital sin is pride, from which the rest follow. So, pride, related to the Latin superbia, and from late Old English pride with a Y, means excessive self esteem, haughtiness, love of display, and culturally, and I'm still amazed by this, but I guess I shouldn't be, we dedicate a whole month to it every single year. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. That is Proverbs 29:23. I see humility versus pride as the capacity to surrender to what we cannot control. And I know this because for years and years and years, I was trying to fight against and resist what God was telling me was the way that things were. And I picked these battles and fights that really weren't mine, but I was in survival mode. So I know what it is to not be able to thrive. And I started to see a greater picture when I stopped. Thankfully, and I know that it wasn't the same for everyone, but I am grateful for the moment of COVID and having been able to not have anything to do in the day, and for that matter, wonder why I was doing what I was doing. I do choose to believe that all things work together for my good, as it says in Romans 8:28, but specifically for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. There is no way I can see that everything happens for good if I am stuck in a perpetual habit of vice, if I'm stuck in sin, if I'm stuck in a life where I know that what I'm doing for myself is not the best thing. There's no way I'm going to see the good in all of that. I need to be able to humble myself, know what I cannot control, actually focus on what I can control, which are these things. It's very cool. You can also check out these videos to see what I'm talking about here, and therefore feel so much more peace. So my videos tend to go towards the good girl. My course is coming out soon, Goodbye Good Girl. You can sign up in the wait list below. The shadow of the good girl will sometimes feel a rigid self-image with humility versus pride. She'll say, I'm the good one, the reliable one. There's this hidden superiority. There's this fear of being wrong or vulnerable, and I know because this was me. So the virtue shift is humility. We want a willingness to be seen when we're imperfect, when we're in the messiness, when we're in the cringe. We want to be able to ask for help. We want to be able to surrender control to God. We want to be able to trust Him. So, if we were to work together, our coaching focus would be spiritual surrender and embracing feminine receptivity. As it says in James 4:10, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He shall lift you up. And you only know what that is through the experience of it. When you do the right thing and you're humble, you see what God is doing. Everything is just so much more beautiful. So, the journaling prompts I want to give you, the questions that you can take away if you feel that that is you, or if you want to develop some more humility in your life, are 3. So, where am I holding onto control or pride in my life? Be honest. What would it look like to release this area to God's care? Spoiler alert, you feel so much better. How can humility help me receive support, love, or grace from others? You can try it as an experiment, as a playful experiment. It doesn't mean anything about you if this goes tits up, if it just completely messes up. If you want to be extra vulnerable and share with the community, I would love to hear your comments below. Otherwise, keep this for yourself and just keep observing how you can shift more towards virtue and away from sin. So, the second way that I have been developing my thriving feeling in this world of survival is by rejecting wrath and developing patience. So, there's this calm endurance over a violent reaction, because wrath is uncontrolled anger and vengeance. If you're stuck in survival mode, you'll likely be dealing with this. I was so passive aggressive. I completely denied it for years because I thought, no, I'm not an angry person. I'm just sad. I just go into melancholy. But there were so many needs that I did not know how to voice and did not know how to meet but that is what anger ultimately does. It teaches us our boundaries. It is so beautiful once you start to see the information that emotions bring. So, patience is calm endurance and self control in hardship or provocation. Patience diffuses anger and chooses peace over escalation. So, patience, again, etymology, from the Latin patientia, I might be completely wrecking this, means the quality of suffering or enduring. Submission, that's every feminist's favorite word. Also, indulgence, leniency, humility, from patientem, bearing, supporting, permitting, tolerant, but also, which I love, the opposite, firm, unyielding, hard. It's a beautiful balance. Wrath, from the Latin ira and Old English redu, again, wrecked that, means anger, to irritate, annoy, provoke. Okay, so I love seeing the root reason for why we have the vocabulary that we do, especially with the German New Medicine stuff that I do with vitality calls. So, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind to one another, tender hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Ephesians 4:31-32. So it's not what you do, but how you do it. It doesn't matter how kind you want to be. It's like when you offer a lift to a friend and you know that you're paying for fuel and you know that you're taking her somewhere. Is it going to really help that you're doing that if the whole time you're just like extra passive aggressive and quiet and like annoyed about those facts? Or is it better that you're doing it in a way that's light and happy go lucky and you're putting on some music and talking to her? How you do something is more important than what you do. You don't get points for doing the right thing if you're not doing it fully. Put your heart into it. So Proverbs 15:1 reminds us, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So it's how you do something, not just what you do. I love James 1:4. I was just reading the other day. It says, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. It's like when we ask for something before we know that we're going to receive it, or if we think it's already time, like we're arguing with God about his timing. Patience will show you perfection in the end. And that's why asking, like, how does this serve my peace, is the best way to phrase any story, especially if it's hard. So I really have come to change the definition of perfection. We like to think of perfection as an ideal, as something that we are not. But we were made in God's image. German New Medicine teaches us this. We were made in God's image, so we are perfect because we are whole. We are wanting nothing. We are complete. We have both the light, all of our qualities and virtues, and the dark, the vices, the sins, the bad habits. We can see that we have both sides to us, and that is so exciting to me. It means I no longer have anxious attachment. I no longer need a man to fulfill who I am. I am happy without, because I have found the Lord, honestly, because I have found the masculine perception of father who takes care of me. I'm no longer seeking it in a fallible, limited human being. So the good girl shadow, with this patience versus wrath, would be passive aggressive and have resentment when boundaries are crossed. So instead of explaining it kindly, right, there's this explosive emotional outburst when she suppresses these needs too long that she never actually shared. So the virtue shift is patience. It's responding with grounded power. It's learning to pause, to breathe, and to express clearly rather than reactively. Easier said than done. The coaching focus for this would be embodied boundaries, emotional processing, and feminine communication. It's an art form, truly. So, Ephesians 4:1-2. I beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with longsuffering, forbearing one another in love. That's the patience. It's to walk worthy of our vocation. It's to go slowly and consistently, knowing that it will pay off because we are serving and helping. So, the journaling prompts to get away from wrath by rejecting it and actually create more patience in you is, where in my life am I resisting God's timing? Who or what am I being called to respond to with more grace and understanding? And you counts, by the way. How does patience look when I also hold healthy boundaries? Because to say that you are patient may well mean like I recently discovered, that you've just not been in a place where your patience has been tested. To develop this thriving sense of self in this world of survival, virtue number 3 is gratitude, which rejects envy. So there's this celebration and this thankfulness over resentment for the way that things are. Envy is resentment of others' blessings or success, ultimately. It's wanting something that we don't have. And gratitude is goodwill. It's wishing others well, celebrating their good, knowing that we have so many blessings already. Gratitude heals envy by taking joy in others' prosperity. So, some etymology. Gratitude means goodwill. It comes from medieval Latin gratitudinem, meaning thankfulness, and the Latin gratis, thankful, pleasing. Gratitude is the greatest form of prayer because it's so consistent, right? It's throughout the day. So Philippians 4:6 says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God." So humility is within absolutely everything. That's why it's the first virtue. That is such a humble position to put yourself in, to have this consistent gratitude. So, envy, from the Latin invidia, meaning jealousy, from invidus, meaning having hatred or ill will, which earlier meant look at with malice, cast an evil eye upon, is jealousy. Envy is seeing someone else and wanting that life. It says, you don't get to have that because I don't get to have that. So James 3:16 reminds us, "For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work." I heard a story of a woman who wanted the house next door, to the extent that a couple years later, the man in it passed away. And she was forced to live with the fact that maybe her desire for having the house next door was the reason why that man passed away, and you do not need that weight on your life. To see what you envy or are jealous of as an opportunity or an invitation is gratitude. You have that. So, how can I learn from you? How did you get there, right? The idea that success leaves clues, the idea that I can follow in your footsteps in some way or ask you for advice, and therefore there is some brotherly love. Like, it's such a wonderful thing to see what I want in someone else and then transform that into how can I get it in a way that serves others along the way. Matthew 13:12, "For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath." Let's be grateful for what we do have because we don't know how many people out there want even what we have. It's all about the abundance mindset. So, the good girl shadow in this development of gratitude and the rejection of envy is that secret jealousy of confident women and comparison spirals on social media, which we all know what that feels like, to scroll social media and think, why don't I have that life? Why can't that be me? Asking why instead of how makes us victims. How can that be me? Suddenly you're empowered. So the virtue shift into gratitude is choosing to focus on what God has already given, celebrating the blessings in your own life, and trusting His unique timing for you. The coaching focus, if we were to work on this together, is daily gratitude practices, shifting from comparison to contentment, celebrating wins, big and small, which we do not do enough. We have to congratulate one another. To rewire self worth, it is so important to recognize where I have been, what trials I have been through, what tribulations have made me stronger. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 reminds us, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you." In everything, give thanks. No matter how hard you think something is, you've been through trials before and you've come out on the other side. You have. And isn't it more fun to uphold the dignity of who you will be if you live in that faith? We live by faith, not by sight. We continuously strive to be the woman who will have passed and surpassed that tricky moment in life, that messy moment. That's just so fun to me. So, the questions for you are, where have I been comparing instead of celebrating my own blessings? Very important. How can I intentionally thank God today for what I already have? It just takes one moment. One moment. Thank you, God, for where I am and for the fact that I can breathe. Who can I express gratitude to this week for their presence or impact in my life? It's very simple. Just shoot a text or call somebody. right now because you love them, because they've helped you along the way. The fourth virtue that I have developed in order to have this thriving sense in the world rather than surviving all the time is diligence, that actively rejects sloth. Purposeful effort over apathy. So, sloth is not just laziness, but avoidance of spiritual or moral effort. It's not just laying around on the sofa, it's actually ignoring and rebelling against what you need to be part of. Diligence is energetic, purposeful effort, particularly in spiritual growth and service. Diligence actively engages in life and one's duties instead of neglecting them. Diligence from the Latin diligentia, meaning assiduous, from diligere, to esteem highly, to love, to take delight in, and the Middle English close attention, caution. Diligence means to be present with what you are devoted to doing. I love using the word devotion. Devoted to this channel, devoted to helping more women see their beautiful power in the world and their blessing for even being alive, and that meaning that you are chosen. You don't need another man to choose you. It is a devotion. The channel used to be called Devoted to Extraordinary for a reason. There is diligence in what you enjoy doing consistently. Diligence is doing the thing that you said you would do and doing it often, even if you don't feel like it. No matter how many people out there, or women most likely, might say the opposite. I don't feel like it today. Well, do it, because ultimately you're going to trust yourself that you can actually be the person that you want to be. We are what we do. If we don't do what we say we will do, we are hurting our trust with ourselves and with God, because your relationship with God is ultimately your relationship to yourself. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." It's a protection mechanism also. It's, who am I letting in to my space, and can I trust them? Have I observed them in every season of life and every occasion? Discerning who you let into your life and who you don't, how close they are to you, and how you're going to do things is so important. That is diligence. It's taking care of yourself ultimately. You put your heart into what you enjoy so much that you lose track of time. That is flow. That's the most beautiful state to be in, is when you can have so much devotion for something that you forget what space and time actually are, because you are thriving. It's where the magic happens. So, sloth, from the Latin assidia, meaning without care or even self pity, also from the Middle English slouth, meaning laziness, to deny the works of the Spirit, so the joy of God is renounced. You're no longer living in the fullness of your spirit. There is no vitality there. Sloth is laziness, or the incapacity to bring yourself to do something if you simply feel like you don't want to. It's very easy to fall out of what you promise yourself you will do. I know most women struggle with this. It's not having a sense of structure. And when you don't have that, you cannot be feminine, because you're so stuck in survival mode that you don't know what your day to day looks like. How can you Netflix and chill if you feel guilty while doing it? There's no balance there. You need structure. So ultimately, it is lazy to be at the whim of your own emotions rather than in control of them. You're not special if you can't do something. If you're complaining, it doesn't make you special. So diligence is exciting because it is a project you can be proud of. The fact that the first time I spoke about virtues versus vices was back in October when I started this channel, like consistently posting every single week, is so exciting to me, because I have so many more videos. I know my branding a lot more, and I know who I'm speaking with. And that can only be done through the process. It's not like you can wake up one day and know. You have to actually live through the process of it. The good girl shadow of sloth looks like emotional avoidance. It's, I'll deal with it later. It's also staying in unhealthy relationships or jobs because change feels overwhelming. She's so afraid of change that she doesn't trust herself that she will be able to hold her composure when change inevitably occurs. This is why having a relationship with God is so beautiful, because if you're close to Him, then you're aware of what's going to change and you can change with it. It's like magic. It really does sometimes feel like magic. Virtue shift into diligence looks like your newfound courageous pursuit of your dreams and emotional healing. Taking aligned action instead of staying safe but stuck. We don't need survival mode to be in our true feminine essence. So, our coaching focus, if we were to work together, would be life design. We would really look at every single area of your relationships, like in this right here. It's small, brave steps. It's gamifying growth. It's making things fun and playful because they are. It's just about helping you see that. In Colossians 3:23, it says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men." I'm telling you, this changed my life because I was able to start doing things without expectation. And growing up as a people pleaser, I always thought if I do this, they will like me. That is so codependent. Or if I do this, well, they didn't make the time to do it, so I must be better than them. And when these meaning associations happen without any capacity to observe and reflect, because the outside world is ultimately neutral and we associate meaning, I was able to finally see that the devil is real and therefore God must be real, and therefore I want to serve God. So if I give that lift to my friend, I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for God. Isn't that so liberating? That was so liberating for me because I was like, I don't need anything from her. I know that everything that I do, everything that I say, when I say it and then I do it, I know that I am storing up treasure in heaven. That's all I'm doing. And it's so liberating. So, your journal prompts to develop this area of diligence, which we all need so much support on as women, is one, what areas of my life feel stagnant because I am avoiding hard work or responsibility? Be honest. Two, how would I show up differently if I truly believed I am working for the Lord and not for human approval? Be honest. And three, what one small act of diligence can I commit to this week? Exciting. Tell me in the comments if there's anything you want to be very honest about, and I am so excited to hear and help you because it's my love language. The fifth way I'm developing my sense of thriving over surviving in this world is charity, which actively rejects greed. This means there's generosity over hoarding. Greed is hoarding. It is driven by fear of lack or a desire for power. Charity is self giving generosity motivated by love and trust. Because when you give, you get back so much more. That's the self giving part of generosity. So, charity undoes the grasping of greed by focusing on others' needs. Every single virtue is so important. There's no order to them other than the fact that humility and pride are first. But I feel like charity should have been higher up on the list somehow. So here's the etymology. Charity, the Latin is caritatem, meaning costliness, esteem, affection, from caris, dear, valued. The Latin is used as a translation of the Greek agape, especially meaning Christian love in its highest manifestation. Charity, if you didn't know, in the King James Version of the Bible, is what 1 Corinthians 13 said about love. I don't like that in newer versions of the Bible they have changed the word charity. It's a little long, but listen through. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. And I have the chills because if we just put this on our wall, read it every single morning, we would be such better humans in the world. Charity is the ultimate virtue of a Christian life. Galatians 5:14 says, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." That is the golden rule. That is the reason for scripture itself, the entire Bible. For any empaths out there, I know you'll probably say, I've been treating others as I want to be treated my whole life and it hasn't been returned. Well, God said we are to love him above anything of this world and then to serve others. Matthew 22:37 says, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This reminds me of that aspect of putting the Lord first and doing everything for him, because he is the one who sustains us and gives us energy. It's not, oh, I'm so drained because I've been helping other people. It's, sure, don't give to those who aren't going to appreciate it. That is a clear distinction. But also, I can because I've been asked to, and I feel like God asked me to through this person. So you must first respect your relationship with God and with your own intuition, which is the thing that nudges you about what God is telling you. You can check out this video to develop that sense even deeper. Treat yourself as you want others to treat you. That's very important as an empath. When you're first on your path, that's how I started to learn this sense of charity, is actually that I was leaving myself on the back burner. And what does it mean to meet my own needs? That is essential to get out of survival mode if you're in it. So, to be charitable first to yourself in order to share with others is pretty vital. But do not get stuck in a sense of pride and putting yourself first every single time, because that's not what God wants. When you're feeling off, you can serve someone else and will immediately feel better. I love that sense of service. When you can ask another, "What can I do for you?" it can truly change not only their life, but also yours. If you're feeling sad and you serve someone, it immediately puts a smile on your face. To be charitable, not expecting anything in return, ultimately gives us a true sense of lasting joy. It takes everything to give, but it gives back so much more. So not only are we giving and receiving good feelings, but we're inspiring other people to do it as well, to pay it forward, to do well for three people, so they do well for three people, so they do well for three people. It's to spread love like a web across the world. Service does make the world go round. They say love makes the world go round, but specifically, it's care that makes the world go round. So go give to someone today. In order to be charitable, we must reject greed. Greed is from the Latin avaritia, meaning avarice, inordinate desire. From the Sanskrit root avisya, gluttony, it means covetous, eager to obtain. From the Greek philargyris, literal for money loving. In 1 Timothy 6:9-10, it says, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil." It's not money itself, it's your love for it, "which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Do not do that. Hold your integrity intact when the goal to your own life is to never self abandon or self betray. You're going to be so happy. Greed ultimately is wanting to keep everything that I have for myself, not wanting to share it, not wanting to do more, and not living by the golden rule. What you're saying is, I don't have more than what I have, and at the same time wondering, what will I do when it all runs out? That sounds like a very good way to lose all of your energy and have it drained by the devil. Greedy people don't inherently believe that they are capable of creating and growing into who they need to be to get what they want. This lack, this needing to hold on, is a lie, because we all live in an abundant world. So, do you operate in abundance or in lack? Comment below. The good girl shadow of greed is hoarding time and energy. For fear she'll never have enough love or security. Sometimes she is manipulative subtly to ensure that she is needed. And the day that I realized that I was being manipulative was pretty scary, because I was like, no way, I'm kind, I'm a nice person. And so much denial is part of this, and so much humility is part of this again. But it's very freeing to be honest with yourself and to notice where you're being manipulative. So, the virtue shift in order to be more charitable and not greedy is to give from overflow, not fear. True generosity is, I have enough to share, and we know God will provide even more every time. So, the coaching focus here is an abundance mindset. It is shifting from performing for love to authentic contribution. That is a massive part of the good girl identity, thinking that you need to like me if I do this, instead of I want to do this for God. In 1 Corinthians 13:13, it says, "And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity." It's truly the greatest because it amplifies. It amplifies everything that it's given. Journaling prompts. How can I give from a place of love instead of obligation or fear of rejection? I remember I was caught in the New Age and tarot as well in my life. And my first tarot reading that I had in, I think, 2020, I asked the question, how can I stop making decisions out of fear? She didn't have an answer for me. All she said was like, I think your heart chakra is closed. And yeah, it's a real thing to recognize that you're stuck in survival mode and that you have been making decisions out of fear instead of abundance. So that's a good question. How can I give from a place of love instead of obligation or fear of rejection? Also, when was the last time I gave without expecting anything in return? That's a real one. Who in my life needs to experience Christ like love through me today? Most people in our secular world do not know who Christ was, and the only way they meet him is through your Christian values and habits and actions. They will know him through your charity, if you choose to give it fully. The sixth way I've been thriving instead of surviving in this world is by nurturing temperance, by rejecting gluttony. This is balance over excess, and my goodness, could we do with it in this world? So, gluttony is overindulgence in anything, food, drink, but consumption in general over creating ultimately. Do you create more than you consume? Is such a good question. Temperance is moderation and balance, being satisfied without excess. You don't need too much, it's incredible. Temperance disciplines the appetite, so it serves the body, it doesn't enslave it. And we're enslaved without realizing that we are. That's the whole point around this lack of self awareness in order to be in a life of vice and perpetuate sin. It's all because of a lack of awareness that we are creating bars of the prison that we're in. So, temperance disciplines the appetite, so it serves the body, not enslaves it. Etymology. The temperance from the Latin temperantia, moderation, sobriety, discretion, self control, and from temperare, moderation, again, also meaning abstinence from alcoholic drink. Temperance is to take things slowly, it is to go steady. As they say, create more than you consume. To be temperate in your outgoings of energy is to assess steadily, to discern where do I need to do more, where do I need to let go, where do I need to accept and say yes to something, and where do I need to say no. Temperance in your life means that you're going as fast as the slowest part of you. A quote my sister first shared with me. I loved that one because your steadiness, your self reliance, and God are with you every step of the way. So you're certain of the actions you're taking because you trust them, because you take your time with them, and there's this beautiful balance. Psalm 119, 133 says, "Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me." That reminds me actually of a quote that I've got saved on like my daily calendar. It's by Saint Bernard. "In the Lord be diligent in preserving order, that order may preserve you." I know we've already spoken on diligence, but I feel like that definitely goes hand in hand with temperance too. Gluttony, from the Latin gula, meaning throat or gullet, is defined as an extravagant indulgence of appetite. From Old French gluttony, debauchery, which in itself means excessive indulgence in sensual pleasures of any kind. So Philippians 3:18 to 19. "For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping. They are the enemies of the cross of Christ, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things." I could get into so much around who poses as Christian and actually isn't, but we're going to stick on the topic. Gluttony is about consumption, drinking too much, gorging on food, saying yes without a limit in anything, any area of life, is having no respect for our boundaries. Distractions of our focus in the modern era are rife. It scatters our energy, turning into chaos. I think of scrolling on our phones, social media, so much. Without self control, without the ability to say no, we lose who we are. You can watch this video just to see how you can start saying no in your life if that is very hard for you. We don't need as much physical sustenance as we think when it comes to drink or food. We can actually fast, and I have a video on fast and praying. Very, very important. Energy is very much about the spiritual body. Matthew 6:17 to 18 says, "But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." This is the thing with virtues. God knows our hearts. God is seeing our character through everything that we do all the time. We don't need someone else to clap for us. We don't have to post our kindness on social media in order to have the points that God stores for us in heaven. So we do not want to appear like we've been fasting to get people's comments like, "Oh, well done, you've been fasting." No, we want to just do it for us and for God. Otherwise, our intention is skewed. Do you see how it all plays together? Because we spoke about that at the start of the video. So the good girl shadow will say that overconsumption of advice, social media, self-help content is actually a good thing. And that is so scary because we don't want to seek external fixes. We don't have to perpetuate that we're broken. Emotional eating or overwork to soothe anxiety also is a factor. I know I definitely did every single course that was on the market. I always thought I had to grow more, know more, learn another way, read another book, and there was so much consumption to the point that I started I think I went in on myself. I think I became more of a hermit because there was just too many opinions. I didn't know which ones were my own. So to actually have the capacity to be here with you and be on the mic and share my opinion is pretty exciting. It really is because I know that it's not my opinion. It's actually the Lord's law that I am sharing here today. So the virtue shift is temperance. It's learning balance. It's trusting intuition. It's consuming what nourishes rather than what numbs. So our coaching focus would be nervous system regulation, absolutely massive. Intuitive decision making, also very imperative. Cultivating joy without overdoing, too. Philippians 4:5 says, "Let your moderation be known unto all men, the Lord is at hand." Journaling prompt: when am I living in excess, emotionally, mentally, or physically, or spiritually, or financially, or sexually? All the 6 areas, like I mentioned here. How does moderation look when I'm led by peace rather than fear or control? And what is one area of my life where I can practice balance today? The 7th and final way in which I develop a thriving sense in my life in this world that is just surviving is by choosing chastity and rejecting lust. So we are redirecting desire toward respect and love. Bless you. Lust is an bless you. Lust is an bless you. Lust is an excessive, self-centered pursuit of physical pleasure. We all know it. There's so much corn industry stuff going on right now. Chastity is sexual purity, but also more broadly self-mastery and seeing others as whole people rather than objects. There's so much respect involved in it. Chastity redirects desire from consumption to love and respect. The etymology of chastity, it's from the Latin castitas, which means purity, chastity, and castus, cut off, separated, pure. Purity is from the Latin purite, freedom from moral contamination, sinlessness, innocence, righteousness, and from Old French purite, simple truth. I love that this is the last virtue because purity is ultimately what you become by nurturing every single other virtue. You have purity of heart, you have purity of soul, you have purity in life and energy. You're a pure person because you are rejecting sin so actively. And you become the most authentic version of yourself when you are able to keep your vitality high like this, when your energy is held within your heart, and when you protect yourself diligently. I did talk about chastity and how it is that I've chosen to recommit to it and be more pure, therefore, by only now giving myself to the man I will marry. You can look at more of that in this video. Psalm 51:10 reminds us, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." Because to reject lust is ultimately important for vitality. Lust is to wish, to desire eagerly. Old English is listan, to please, to delight. Sense of to have an intense, especially sexual desire for or after someone. Purity ultimately means that you know your worth. You're not going to sleep with absolutely anyone. You're not going to go after absolutely anyone. It doesn't drive you. You own that energy for yourself. It is your life force to have protection over this energy specifically because you can use it to create. You can pour it into your business. You can pour it into your friendships in every other way other than sexual. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, Galatians 5:16-18 says, "This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." That is the draining of the energy. "But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law." And you can check out this video for exactly what I mean with that. There's a lot of thinking involved. You just need to get to the end and really recognize that when we're living a life led by the Spirit and filled with these seven heavenly virtues, we actually don't create any environment by which we can be oppressed, by which our energy can be drained, at least in a way that we can control, because we're nurturing so much. We're trusting ourselves, we're creating this incredible sense of integrity, and we're not under the law, because the law is for every cause there is a reaction, right? The law is, well, because this happened, now the fear of the Lord will come in. You have to read the Old Testament, and there will not be any need for a reaction when we are actually abiding in the Spirit and walking in it. It's so exciting to me. So be well aware that there is evil in this world and deny it actively. To be pure is to really keep your heart and leg gates closed, especially women who are unmarried. It is very exciting, and I think there will be world peace the day that we stop gifting our very beautiful feminine energy and life force to men who do not deserve it. Many in this world are of this world after the flesh, and not everyone deserves your time and your energy in that way. So go on knowing, with your head held high and your shoulders back and a smile on your face, that you're enjoying the most pure and potent capacity that life has to offer, because you are that authentic person who is open to all the good by walking in the Spirit. You are the woman who says yes to all the virtues and to what aligns with your value, meeting your needs and building the habits for a healthy and prosperous life. It really is down to who you are and what you do. So Philippians 4:8, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. The most beautiful scripture. The good girl shadow for lust will seek validation through physical approval. And I know because I've been there. Overgiving intimacy for security, confusing love with being chosen. That is so heartbreaking to be in that position, to think that you are worth nothing unless you're giving all of who you are. The virtue shift is chastity. It's reclaiming your body as sacred, discerning who gets access, aligning intimacy with self worth and love rather than the fear of abandonment. Again, quit making decisions out of fear, you know? Coaching focus, if we were to work together, boundaries, self respect, feminine energy in dating and relationships. 1 Thessalonians 4:3-4. For this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. This is the temple of the Lord. We've been given a beautiful body. Nobody knows how to recreate it. Isn't that special? Tears, you cannot buy them on the market. They come out of you. It is so incredible to me that we've been made in this way. You can see more about how amazed I am at how God has created us in his image when I talk about German New Medicine. So the last 3 questions, these being about how to develop chastity. In what ways have I given my body or heart in exchange for acceptance or validation? How can I honor my body as sacred and worthy of love that aligns with my values? And what boundaries need to be put in place to protect my emotional and physical purity? You can see how the 7 heavenly virtues are not just opposites of the 7 deadly sins, they actually transcend them by transforming our intention. It's because they don't just cancel sin, they transform it. Because, for instance, with wrath and patience, wrath says, I must control or destroy what hurts me. But patience doesn't simply suppress anger, it redirects emotional energy toward understanding and endurance. So, virtue is not about neutralizing impulses, but transforming them into life giving qualities. Virtues also operate on a different plane than vices because sins are reactive. They're often triggered by desire, fear, or pride. There's this lack of awareness there, whereas virtues are proactive. They arise from intentional orientation toward God, like I said, love or a higher purpose always. For example, envy compares and resents, and you're not special if you do this at all. Whereas kindness celebrates others and acts with goodwill. It's an entirely different posture of heart. Entirely different. Virtue also is relational, whereas sin is isolating. Sin curves inward towards self centeredness. It's always asking, how does this serve me? Whereas virtues open outward toward love or balance or grace. How do I serve or love others today? Even humility, which is the opposite of pride, as C.S. Lewis said, it doesn't mean thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. I love that quote. Growth is additive, not subtractive. Finally, medieval teachers saw growth as adding virtues, not just subtracting sins. That is so important. You don't just stop being greedy, you become generous. You don't just stop being slothful, you find joy and purpose in diligence. This reflects a deeply Christian idea. Sin isn't the main focus, transformation of the heart is. If you have any comments, I would love to hear them. That is my love language. I always reply to them. If you want to work with me, I have virtue and vitality calls in the link below. I love connecting with you and helping you through any stuff in your life. There will always be problems, but it's about how we get through them. I hope this was helpful. Please share it with a friend who could also do with seeing how they can start to thrive in this world that is full of vice. Put your name on the wait list for the upcoming course, Goodbye Good Girl, From Invisible to Irresistible. It's coming soon. And until next week, as my Oma said, harden not your heart, love and serve each other.